Hey guys, welcome to Titanium Tuesdays on Propelio TV. I'm your host, RJ Bates. Today we have some fantastic case studies, and we'll be right back after these messages. Hey guys, I'm excited to have my great friend Jamie Wooley with me today here on Titanium Tuesdays. Jamie, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Fantastic. Are you excited to be here?
I'm so excited. I'm excited I made it with the weather and all of the wrecks, so we're good.
Right? Actually, there's a rumor that the only way you had time to make it today is because of the weather, because you couldn't be sitting by your pool today.
That rumor may be true. It may be true. Although I've been getting into some other stuff lately, so I think we'll be good.
So today we're going to be talking about a couple of deals that Jamie's done, and the title of today's story is Don't Buy Houses, Solve Problems.
Yes.
Jamie and I are both huge advocates as real estate investors. We're problem solvers. And we're going to kind of go through each one of these and give good examples as to why we feel that way. So why don't you give a little bit of background, about yourself, and then also about the first deal that we're going to go over today.
Yeah, so a little bit about myself. I am from Wooley, Texas, which is about an hour from where we are here at the studio, but I grew up in a small town, and so Wooley is plenty big for me. I am a wholesaler. I wholesale and I renovate properties, flip properties. I have some buy and holds and some owner finance. Basically, my goal in our business is to get the property at the biggest discount possible and decide which exit strategy would be the best and most beneficial for me and for my company all at the same time. That's about it.
Cool. Well, real quick before we get started, guys, let's get some likes and comments on here. Jamie is an incredible guest, and I want to make sure that we get this out in front of as many people as possible. We have many different giveaways that we're going to have today. We've got some Beat Kids Cancer hats that we're going to give away that we have left over from our golf tournament. Also, as like a personal gift of mine, I'm going to give away some beard oil. And we might even give away a book at the end.
Where did you get this beard oil from?
So I actually signed up. It's a subscription service way back in the day, and I can't figure out my login to cancel it. So every month I have this beard oil that just shows up, and I just have it like lined up in my closet. So it might be a new thing that we just give it away all the time.
Great giveaway. Let's go.
So okay, let's talk about this first deal. It's the fourth home that you ever contracted.
The fourth one that I ever got under contract ever. I was doing everything in the business still by myself during the time that we got this home. Yeah.
So at this time, you're doing everything. Let's talk about the marketing that you did. So you're brand new, you're trying to get your feet underneath you, figure out what you're doing. So what marketing did you use to get this deal?
I actually used a handwritten looking letter that had my logo and some colors, some greens and pinks, and it's a really long, letter, and I don't know exactly what it says. We sent it in, so I don't know if we can throw it up there by any means, but it's just basically a letter saying that I would like to buy your house. It kind of looks handwritten, has my signature at the bottom, and has my logo, and it was about probably a 3x5 in just a plain white envelope.
Cool. Yeah. So at this time, you're brand new, right? You don't really know what you're doing, right? You're trying to figure it out. So when you sent this out, how did you know what list to use? Were you just kind of listening to other people, what list they were using, or how did you determine who to mail these to?
Yes, so at this time, I believe, I'm not sure where I found the list. When I first started out, I was everywhere. YouTube, Bigger Pockets, Propelio didn't exist at that time, but I was everywhere, looking at Facebook groups and just trying to figure it out. So the more I looked, the more I got confused because there's just so much information, which is a great thing. But for someone like me with severe ADHD, I'm like, here's this way, here's this way. So basically I just said, okay, forget it. I have to be decisive. And I picked a couple lists list, and once I pick those lists, I just send it out. You know, it's like everything you hear from seasoned investors or anybody that's done anything worth having is take action. You have to take action. So basically that's what I did, is I just took action.
So I know now in your company you use CallRail for your marketing to kind of have different numbers to differentiate what marketing campaigns are working and track your KPIs. At this time, were you doing that, or were you just slapping your cell phone number on there?
Yes. Well, I had a Google Voice, I believe, at
Google
least.
Voice.
Yeah.
Everybody's favorite when they start,
I at least had a Google
right?
Voice, yes, with the whisper message. So when I answered, I knew what was coming in.
There you go.
So yeah.
So were you answering all the phone calls yourself?
I was answering all the phone calls myself. Yes.
Okay. So when this call came in, kind of walk me through how that phone call went and how you handled it.
Yeah, so basically it was an older gentleman. His name was Charles. He was so nice, and he said, hey, I'm interested in selling my house. And I kind of went through a basic script that, you know, we go through, and that looks something like, you know, Charles, thanks so much for calling me. I really appreciate that. You know, I'd love to help you out. Can you tell me a little bit more about you and what's going on? And I try to get their story and know, you know, what's going on with them. There's a reason they called. It's usually not just because they want to sell their home. So my job and anybody's job answering the phone is to find out what we call pain point. You know, the reason they're wanting to sell their home quickly for cash and not the traditional route. And so we went through that conversation, and basically he said, it's just too big of a house for me. I can't manage, I'm not cleaning it, you know, as well as I'd like to. I just need a smaller space, you know? And so that was pretty much his pain point and once I met him, I realized he was a very neat and clean type of person. So therefore, I realized why that was a big pain point to him, is he could not keep up the way that he used to keep up. And he told me a little bit about the house. It was a house in Garland, a 3-2, kind of your basic 3-2, 1,500 square feet. And you know, gave me some ideas about the condition of the home. He said it does need some work and it is outdated. The roof needed to be changed, things like that. And so I made an appointment, you know, that next morning. He was not available that afternoon, and I made an appointment that next morning and went out there to meet with him.
You brought up a good point there. He wasn't available that afternoon. And the reason why I bring that up is because as a newer investor, it's so important that you capitalize and you jump on the opportunity immediately. You know,
immediately.
Don't wait. Whatever you need to do to get out there and get in front of them and try to secure it. So you scheduled the appointment as quickly as you could. Got out there the next morning. Walk me through kind of your thought process. You've only done 3 deals at this point in time, so you're walking up. What's your thought process, and how are you going to handle this appointment?
I mean, at that time, so what I would do is I'd go to the appointments about 30 minutes early. So for me and everybody that knows me, that means I end up being there about 15 minutes early. But I drive the neighborhood. I want to know, you know, what's around and what's going on in the neighborhood. I want to know the condition of the house. I know what they told me over the phone, but I want to really know. And immediately I saw the bushes were, I mean, just way overgrown. The yard was cut, but you could tell, you know, there wasn't a lot of love put into the outside of this home anymore, you know. And of course, I mean, I think it would still happen to this day. I no longer go on appointments, but butterflies and just nervous. And so I knocked on the door, and the sweetest man ever came out, named Charles. And I had no sales training at that time. I'd never read a sales book. All I know to do is to relate to people, and that's all I know to do. And with everything that has happened in my life and the people I've been around and where I was from and how I was raised, I really can sit in the living room of a $30,000 house or a $3 million house and be just fine either way and feel just as comfortable. You know, I have something that I can relate to that person and truly relate to that person with no judgment. I think people can feel that. And so for me, there was no script, there was no setting expectations. It was like, you know, just let's start a conversation and show me around the house. You know, so the first thing I did was, hey, let's go look around the house and tell me your story, tell me what's going on. And that's just basically how I used to do everything.
You're building rapport that way.
Just building rapport.
Right. And then someone asked, why are pain points important? You know, so, and that's kind of building the rapport, right?
It is.
You're understanding their motivation for needing to sell the house. And so he had kind of already told you that. Is that something you brought back up during the appointment?
Definitely. So pain points are so important because that is what's really going to get you guys on the same level when it comes to your number. You want to bring the pain point up 4, 5, 6 times throughout the conversation. So example, how he told me he couldn't keep up with things anymore. He kept bringing it up throughout the house. Is normally I wouldn't have this stuff stacked in the corner. I said, Charles, I understand. Like I know that's not how you'd like it to be, but I'm sure it would be much easier if you had a smaller place to keep up, maybe an apartment, something like that. And then he said that he used to work out, but it's hard for him to get to the gym. And so I would bring up, well, gosh, if we moved out of here and got you in an apartment, they have the gyms on site. You can just walk down there every day. So you always want to bring up that pain point. And a lot of times you're not going to find the pain point unless you build rapport with them. I mean, that's just, they're not going to come out and tell you, well, I'm really struggling because of this. They're just going to say, listen, I'm just thinking about selling. You have to build that rapport, and even once you find the pain point, there's even things that are a lot of times behind that. So you always have to keep digging and digging because you want to remind them of that, not in a bad way, but because that is what they're feeling. That is why they called, and so you do want to remind them of that to help move forward in the process of the sales cycle.
Right. And hey guys, for y'all that are just joining us or listening, we appreciate it. I've seen some of our good buddies, Jason McDougall, Pat Hilton's on, checking us out. We appreciate you guys, Elizabeth Navarrete. Thank you guys for joining us. But this is a rock star in our industry. She's doing well over 100+ deals a year. She's worked her way out of her company. She's able to really just work on her business and systematized it. So drop some questions in the comments, like and share this. This is some great content. She's going to have a lot more to add to today's episode. So at this point in time, you're sat down with them, you've gone through the pain points, you built rapport with them. Now at this point, you have to talk price, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
That's always kind of, I think, one of the hardest things for a newer either wholesaler or investor to kind of get down to, right? And
right.
one of the things that was told to me when I was first getting started that really resonated with me was, if you're not slightly embarrassed by your offer, then you offered too much.
Yes,
definitely. So now you're at this point, you understand, and you've kind of built that rapport and you've connected with them. How did you bring up the price and get the negotiation started?
So as far as bringing up the price, I had already asked him what he was, looking for, which I think is very important to understand where they're coming from with that. Do not always take that though as what it is. We just got a house under contract a month ago that they wanted, I don't know, $260, something like that. We ended up getting it for $200. They're like, don't offer us anything less or we're not doing it. So
right.
Don't always take that. But I wanted to know where he was at, and he honestly said, I have no idea. I don't know what things are going for. I don't know. And so immediately I thought, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and just shoot something out there. And I think I started with $90,000 and just let him know, Charles, look, with everything I've looked at with the roof, there was some cracks. There's probably some foundation. The windows are old. We don't have to change those, but I'd really like to because I plan on renovating this house, and kind of went down the things that, look, everything's great, but in order for me to do what I do, I'm going to have to do some things. So basically it's going to look around $90,000. He said, so we just kind of went back and forth as far as he really wanted a little more. And I knew that I could pay a little bit more, but I definitely always try to go low first so we can meet in a happy middle. And we ended up meeting at $100,000. And so it was a great deal.
So let me ask you this, because for newer investors, you have no background in contracting whatsoever, right?
No, not at all. No.
So a roof to you is some astronomical thing that has to be done.
Right,
You don't know how to estimate the cost of that. How were you able to overcome that at the beginning on estimating repairs? Did you formulate some kind of spreadsheet? Did you consult with contractors? How did you overcome that need for estimating the repairs?
Because I had done so much research online. I mean, y'all, I was up till like 3 a.m. once I decided to do this business. So it was always about learning, and I'm still like that now. I had come up with the 5,000 rule. So just kind of a quick rule, but your large ticket items, if you're talking about, foundation or a roof or possibly plumbing, things like that, it's going to be a little less or a little more, but if you tick those things out to $5,000, your large, cost, and then look at your remodel. So basically, I would do, I think it's $15, a square foot if it needed paint, carpet, and a few finish outs that were changed. If it was a little more than that, $20 a square foot, and then if it needed maybe new windows and things, $25 a square foot. So I really didn't know, but I had a basic idea in my head just from reading and things like
Right.
that. And so my goal was I had to get the house locked up at the right amount so, everybody would be happy. So that was what I did.
We've got a great question from Sydney. She wants to know, how do you get over the nervousness of making your first offer? How do you just pull the trigger?
You don't get over the nervousness. The nervousness still happens to me in lots of different scenarios. But the thing is, it is fear. That's the only thing that's going on. You're not nervous, you're fearful. You're fearful of rejection. You're fearful of how they're going to react to you. But everything that you're fearful of, once you do time and time again, eventually the fear goes away and success lies on the other side of your fear and discomfort. So you just have to do it. There's no easy way. You just have to do it.
But here's the thing. You're not buying their house.
Yeah.
You're solving their problem.
Yeah.
That's why the pain points are important.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you need to build the rapport and really truly understand and dig deep and find out why are they motivated, right? We call them motivated sellers, but I think sometimes we kind of just throw that term out there loosely.
Yeah.
Just kind of we throw the term cash investor out loosely.
Yeah.
Majority of people aren't actually cash investors.
Correct.
But these people are actually motivated sellers. Like they have a motivation. You need to find it and then solve that problem.
Yeah.
And then once you're doing that, now it's not about a number. It's about solving that problem, getting them out of the problem, and now making that offer is a lot easier.
That's such good advice.
So, all right, you get it under contract for $100,000.
Yes.
So, what are you going to do? You're going to wholesale it?
What we have to talk about, which is why this is not about buying houses, about solving problems, is Charles had been married for 16 years and she had not lived with him for 16 years. His son and daughter were in another town, hours and hours away. He had no idea where he was going to go. He had no idea how he was going to sell it because he was still married and what that looked like with the funds being, dispersed. He had no idea who was going to help him pack. He was in good condition, but not good enough condition to pack, and he had a bunch of stuff he didn't want to give up yet. He is a very neat person, so he realized he couldn't take it all to the apartment. And also he had a vehicle that was not working in the front yard, but he did have a drivable vehicle in the driveway. So basically, I spent 2 weeks taking Charles to apartment complexes, taking him to storage facilities, towing his vehicle to an automotive shop to get it running enough to where he could pull that into the apartment that he moved into, and went over there and helped him pack and hired movers. All of those things, you're talking, that's a lot of stuff. And he was riding in my vehicle. We were listening to his music. He liked this soul Christian station, so we were jamming out to that. It was really, I enjoyed every moment because it was one of my first few deals. It was life-changing money for me, for someone that made what I made before, and I enjoyed every moment. But it's things like that I think people forget. We are solving problems. Like, someone could have gone in there and offered him $110,000, and I know companies that do this that say, we don't do leasebacks, we don't help you move, and sorry, just figure it out. And they still get contracts, which blows my mind because we're willing to go above and beyond and bend over backwards for anyone and do whatever we can to make that happen. And that's just a perfect example, though, as to those things totally pay off, and I did them genuinely. It wasn't, this, to me, when I saw this man, I saw my grandfather. What if my grandfather's in this situation and no one's helping him? Now, I got a huge discount on the house, so don't get me wrong, because I did deal with those issues in the beginning, wow, he was happy though. He was where he wanted, he got what he wanted out of it. He was so happy, I was so happy. But those things are so important that I don't want to skim over because that meant the world to him. I took him to closing, I drove him to closing, and we had his favorite lunch afterwards, a catfish dinner lunch at a place around the corner that he liked. So those things are really important. Now, what I did with it after I got it under contract for $100,000 is, even at that time, I realized I was smart enough to realize, how can I make the most out of every deal? And so that one was going to be a house that I renovated. So I went over there to go put a sign out in the yard, just to go ahead and have people know what's going on. And you know, lots of things have happened when a sign's in the yard. That's how actually one of my deals, you know, was sold. And the neighbor came over while I was in the house, walking the house, like taking notes with my notepad, and, you know, knocked on the door, and I'm like, oh my gosh, who's this, you know? And the neighbor comes over with 3 people in his family that apparently, as I found out, lived right next door. They said, my son and daughter-in-law have just moved in about 6 months ago with a new baby, and they're looking for an affordable home around where we live. Is there any way you'd be willing to sell this home to us? And I said, well, I don't know what price, you know, it's going to be yet. I don't know what finish outs or anything like that. And they said, well, we're willing to do some work. Could we buy it the way it is now, and you don't have to do any of that? And I said, well, yeah, probably so. I said, you know, so give me a few minutes. So I went in and kind of went in the other room and looked at some stuff. I didn't have my computer on me. I'm like, so I just threw out the number 160, you know, and I said, well, and here's 160. I got it for 100. Like that's a good spread. And they said, you know, I mean, we really want this. And I said, well, that's where I need to be at.
Right.
And they wanted to walk all through the house. So they looked at every nook and cranny. I'm talking in the pantries and the cabinets, under the sinks, everywhere. So I thought they were pretty serious.
Right.
And then they said, well, I don't know if that number is going to work. Let me just go home and, we'll be with our family and we'll talk it over. So I left that day thinking, okay, we're renovating the house. I thought, he calls me the next day and he's like, you think you could do like 140, 145? I said, no, I really can't, and we ended up going at 160. So I ended up signing the deal. So it was great.
That's awesome. So we've got a couple of great questions on here. We've got quite a few people watching so far, so thank you guys. Keep up with the great questions. I really love the interaction here. Dominique asks, how do you find comps when there aren't comps to compare a property? I know with you being out in Wiley, kind of out there in the country a little bit, sometimes the properties can be a little hard to comp. So
they can.
What's a good solution to that? Because I know a lot of newer wholesalers are now trying to go to the outer markets of DFW and some of the other larger markets. So what do you suggest for the people when they have a hard time finding comps?
So I suggest a couple things. First of all, Propelio does provide comps, but you're saying if you cannot find comps, I do understand that. If you cannot find comps, the best thing to do is to broaden your search criteria first and foremost. So maybe you're doing it incorrectly, or you just haven't been taught how. So, if you're in a half a mile or quarter mile radius, break that bad boy up to 10 miles. Like if you're in Kaufman, Texas, where I'm from, 5,000 people, you really can't go wrong comping the whole dang city because it's all, if you're in an ancillary or secondary market, there are a couple streets in Kaufman that are more prestigious, if that is even a thing in a town of 5,000. But really, if you're in a small area like that, you can broaden your search criteria pretty vastly.
Another thing is when you're in a market that's hard to comp, you can also broaden your strategy on what you can do with the property.
You definitely can.
To something like owner financing.
Yes.
And you can even wholesale it as a potential owner financing property. So if you're newer and you're just wanting to wholesale, and what you can also use is the tax assessment value.
Definitely.
To base things off of. We've had several properties in markets where it's just impossible to comp because it's so far away, and we use the tax assessment value almost as our ARV, and then we backtrack from there.
That's a good thing. And also, one last thing on that is talking to agents. You're going to run into some agents they're super busy and they are not excited that you called, but you're also going to run into some agents that are willing to talk to you. You let them know, hey, listen, I'm doing some, investments here. I'm looking to buy some discounted properties. Maybe you have some buyers. Could you help me out with the numbers on this property? So that's another thing, is to utilize agents, and if you do become successful one day, they will get some business from you.
So your girl from Iron Hills, Shelby Smith, said fear of rejection is definitely something I've always had with dealing with sellers. I always want to make everyone happy.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a need for wanting to make the seller happy, but the best way to do that is by solving their problem.
Yeah,
not necessarily
not
monetarily.
by price. Yeah,
right.
not by price. It is. It's definitely by solving their problem.
Right. So let's get back to the deal. So
Yeah.
you said 160.
Mm-hmm.
Did they accept that?
They accepted it. Yes.
accepted
After
it?
after a day and a half of waiting and a little negotiating later, they finally accepted
So
it.
you closed on this property yourself, right?
I closed on it. I plan on renovating it.
So you plan on renovating it, sold it for 160, and made a nice healthy profit there.
Yes.
Right?
It was nice and healthy.
So that's a pretty good deal for your fourth ever deal.
It was. I really feel like I just got so lucky. My first few deals were amazing. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, guys. That's it for this first case study. We're going to cut to commercial here. A few words from our great sponsors, and we'll be right back to go over our second deal. All right, guys. Again, thank you for joining us. We've got quite a few people on listening today. Loving the questions and comments. Please drop more. Jamie is a great resource for everybody that's watching. She has a ton of content and knowledge. And I mean, to be honest with you, she's just one of the badasses in our industry. I'm lucky to have her as a friend, and so you guys have the opportunity today to ask anything that you want, and she's here to share. So let's go into this second deal. I know this one has some crazy stories as we were going over it. So let's start with, how did you get this lead?
So this lead came from, let me double check that so I tell you guys. This lead came from just a high equity list, actually. So a high equity list and a postcard.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the lead comes in. At this point in time, you're much more advanced, right? As a
more
company.
advanced, yes, more advanced.
You're not answering the phone?
Not answering the phone.
Not answering the phone. So the phone call comes in. Who's answering it?
My lead intake is answering the phone.
So you have a lead intake.
I have a lead intake.
And then they schedule the appointment.
Schedule the appointment, yes.
Acquisitions.
Acquisitions is going out to the property.
Okay. So what does the acquisitions know about this property from the lead intake before they're going out to it?
So the acquisitions knows that the homeowner is wanting to sell this property because she has a brother who is in bad health and they cannot keep up with the property. This property was basically like 800, 900 square feet that got a room by room by room by room added to it from great granddad.
Gotcha.
So it was pieced together by far.
Okay, so acquisitions goes out. Mm-hmm. Walk me through what you've heard about this acquisitions appointment.
So apparently the homeowner was very open about her sexuality, and she was in a nudist colony and coming on to acquisitions very heavily.
Hold on. Do you still have this person's phone number?
Yes.
Ryan, I got you a date. I told you I'd get you a date. I got you a date right here. Okay, so nudist colony.
Yes.
She's open about this.
Yes. Oh, most definitely open. And
roughly, what's the age?
She is in her early 60s.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah. So honestly, she'd had like 10 people out. She was going to have like 10 people, behind us. And I think I realized after the fact what the whole having all of those people out for was. But she played hard to get a little bit for us, for sure. She definitely had a pain point, for sure. But she was also so emotionally attached. She needed some loving. She needed some loving.
It's a good pain point for Ryan Harper.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And emotionally, though, she was really attached to the house, and that's where her pain point was being overridden by the emotional love and attachment to the house and her family and everything like that. But we eventually got it under contract. It was about a week of following up.
So how did you solve that pain point?
Well, she couldn't use but like 1 or 2 rooms in the house. It was just getting, and she was one of those women, I'm talking like, hair on point, makeup on point, like she, you know, so kind of use that, you know, I like to look good and feel good about, you know, the house is not looking or feeling good anymore kind of thing.
Sounds
you know?
like someone we should have on an Iron Hills show.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
Maybe so.
We should have her on sometime.
Oh my gosh. We don't really have a great relationship anymore, so we'll talk about that later.
Okay, well, we're going to get to that. So, okay, you get this property under contract for $202,500.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what is your plan with this? Wholesale, fix and flip? What do you want to do?
You know, I really didn't know because the house was in such random condition. I thought it could be salvageable, but that went above my pay grade when it comes to the contracting side of it. Okay. I can, your basic ABCs I'm pretty solid with, but there were some jank things going on in that house. And so I thought, you know, I can try to renovate the home, or I can maybe try to subdivide the land because it was on, you know, I think it was 18 acres. Okay. And so I thought maybe I could subdivide the land. It's in McKinney,
Texas. Well, that's got to be hard to comp, right?
Oh, it's very, very hard to comp.
So this goes back to what we were talking about earlier.
Definitely.
When it's difficult to comp. So you kind of probably use some of those same tools and resources that you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
So, okay, you're trying to figure out what you want to do with this property. Mm-hmm. What did you finally decide on? So
I finally decided I'm just going to take it down and then figure it out after that. Have contractors come in. I mean, because there was stuff piled everywhere. I mean, talk about Hoardville. Like, literally, it was terrible. It was bad.
That's like the true entrepreneur spirit right there.
Yeah,
right?
I didn't know.
What am I going to do with this property? I don't know. I'm going to buy it and I'll figure it out later.
I mean, you're talking McKinney, Texas, 17 acres at $202,000.
You can't go wrong.
No.
Can't go wrong. Mm-mm. So, okay, you closed on it.
Yes.
How long did it take you to decide what to do?
So once I closed on it, I just threw it out already to my buyers list. I have like 25,000 people on my buyers list. So I thought, well, if somebody's interested, or at least maybe it'll sway me into, wow, you know, do you think we could subdivide and do this, this, and this? Sometimes they'll give me more creative ideas, you know? Or Jawad chimes in and, Jamie, what are you doing? You should do this with the house, you know? So,
don't you love that?
I love it. No, I'm appreciative. I'm like, thanks. I didn't even see that.
The random Jawad phone call. If you haven't gotten one of those, it's probably because he doesn't have your phone number, but if you give it to him, he will definitely tell you what you need to do with your life.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. So thank you. And basically threw it out, and there was an investor that wanted it for the land. They said, look, you know, I want this property. And I always ask because I'm curious. You know, when I was on the disposition side of things, which I'm no longer there either, but I always want to know, what's your intention? What are you doing? And they said, we don't want to do anything to it. We're just going to hold it. We may, you know, try to fix it up enough to have somebody living here, but we're going to hold the land because we know it's going to be very valuable 10 and 15 years down the road. Their entire play is to take, you know, all of the funds that are just sitting around. I think there's 10 or 15 of them actually from outside of the country, and they just place their money in land here in Texas.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I know this one, you know, you said hashtag Hoardville is what we got going on up here.
Yes.
So you gave them a lease back, right?
30-day lease back,
30-day lease back.
Yeah.
And now you have someone that wants to buy the land.
Yes.
But she's a hoarder.
Yes.
So what's going on behind the scenes at the house to get rid of her?
It was interesting. So in order for her to have to be able to move, we had to find her another house. And this lady, I'm talking.
So wait.
Yeah.
Did she task you with this?
Oh yes.
So you closed. Did you know this? Buying the house?
No, I knew it. I knew it. Yeah, I totally knew it. She originally had a realtor that she was working with, so I wasn't originally tasked with it until I got a 2-hour phone call at like 11 o'clock at night. And she was absolutely irate about how this realtor had treated her, that they didn't think that she had the money for this. And did they not know I've got $200,000 cash? And I mean, she was just, it was a mess. So I said, look, I'll step in, I'll help you find a house. That was the most painful. Real estate agents, I feel for you because, wow, like so painful. That's why I have the hat, but it's usually like in the drawer because no way, no how. These people are a mess. Like they want this, you get them this, and no, but yeah, I don't really want, like you can change that. It's a $20 can of paint and like you can do it in a weekend.
So let me ask you this, because you gave her a 30-day lease back, you close, she now tasked you with finding a house.
Yes.
Aren't you slightly concerned about the fact that you have to not only find her a house, but then find a seller that's willing to sell fast enough to let her move in.
Yeah.
Because most sellers need time to move out and go find their new home.
They definitely do, and so I knew that it was a daunting task.
Yeah,
but
this is not a, hey, just go find me a house.
It wasn't. It
go
wasn't
find me
at
a
all.
house where someone's willing to move out in 10 days.
That's true. It's very true, and it wasn't at all. Luckily, the house that I found, the people had already bought a home, and they were waiting on this one to close. I mean, it took a lot of work, but when someone tells me I can't do something, what I always tell them is, what do I do? And they say, what? I make shit happen. That's what I do. So although it's daunting, although it sucks, I make it happen.
So speaking of realtors,
yes,
we actually have a realtor from Des Moines, Iowa joining us today.
What's
Zachary
up,
Stotts.
Iowa?
Yes. If you're a real estate investor in Iowa, reach out to Mr. Zachary here for comps. Thank you for watching.
Yeah,
we also have the best hair in real estate was watching. Tang Nguyen.
Tang. Well, yeah, that's Tang.
I mean, seriously.
For sure.
I mean, he's got such good hair. I have no hair, so I'm super jealous of this guy. And my boy, Yale Hamrick, is watching. So go Pats.
I just played golf with Yale.
Yeah. He's a huge Patriots fan. We resonate together.
Yeah.
So, all right, back to this. So you found her a house.
Found her a house, yes.
And she was happy with it.
With exception to there needed to be a chairlift up and down the stairs for her brother.
Of course there needs to be a chairlift for
Yes,
her brother.
and some other things after we agreed on. It was like 10, every day there was something new that she needed me to do.
And she's completely lined up the company to do the chairlift and all that, right?
No, I have completely lined that up. Yeah.
So again, guys, we're not buying houses. We're what are we doing?
Solving problems.
We're solving problems, right? A lot of problems.
A lot of problems.
So, okay, you need to put a chairlift in.
Yes, I need to put a chairlift in.
So you figure out how to do that.
Yes, I figure out how to do that.
And then what happens?
Well, she wouldn't move in until the refrigerator was changed, the chairlift, some flooring upstairs, and every day she kept adding something. She knew she had me against the wall. No, she's paying for it. Okay. So yes, she's paying for it. The only thing I did was I did pay for the chairlift.
Let me ask you a question, because this would be total entrepreneur spirit. Were you making a spread on these, like the chairlift? Chairlift guys.
No.
Oh, come on.
No. Well, basically what it was it was my money fronted because it was coming out of her proceeds. So I wasn't trying to, I didn't even think that far. This was such a mess. This woman was, I'm talking, calling me at 2 in the morning. I'd wake up to an email of her drunkenness of like craziness. So I wouldn't go in there.
Real quick, we need to give stuff away because we have all kinds of stuff to give away.
Yeah.
Let's give away the beard oil. In the honor of Yale Hamrick. Yale has season tickets to the Dallas Stars, but the Dallas Stars are not his favorite NHL team. The first person that can name Yale's favorite NHL team wins the beard oil. Comment in the
Dallas Cowboys.
That is not an NHL team.
That is football.
You are disqualified, Mr. Cheerleader.
You were a cheerleader. What?
So, first person named Yale Hamrick's favorite NHL team wins the beard oil. Okay, so you fixed the chairlift, floors, refrigerator. Yeah. Did she want a mani-pedi too?
No, she didn't. And she told me that she had the moving under control because some of her friends, were going to help her move. And that actually went a couple days after we were supposed to close. So it was quite the event. It was definitely quite the event.
There you go. So I see the comments are blowing up on the contest that I have here for beard oil. Beard oil makes a great Christmas gift if you don't have a beard. You can give it away to somebody. And the NHL is the National Hockey League for some of y'all that don't know what it is. So drop hockey teams in the comments, and then we'll give it away once we get the winner. Okay, so now that you fixed all of her problems, and you've got the property sold.
Yes.
She moves out.
She moves into the house, and I think that, thank
God,
there was
something that happened right before she moved in, right?
No. This was after she moved in. So she moves in. I get paid. I'm like, life is good. This is amazing. It was a 6-figure deal. It was pretty cool. I was super excited. And then I hear from her about a month later, and she is absolutely livid again, emailing, calling my team, going crazy. The chairlift has stopped working.
Right.
Brand new chairlift, like
And so one of our questions was, at what point does taking care of the seller get out of hand? Well, you just dropped a great point, though.
Yeah.
This is a 6-figure deal.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, whatever it takes.
You're kissing ass.
I'm kissing ass and
right.
making it happen.
So, but now, a month after, checks cleared, you've built your pool.
Yeah.
You're sun tanning. You bought your RV. You're living the Jamie Wooley lifestyle.
Yes.
Right? I'm just joking.
Yes,
with you,
I know you are.
But you're living your life, and now she calls you. Mm-hmm. What chairlift broke. Why's she calling you? Call the chairlift people.
Exactly, because she had all the information. Well, the chairlift people wouldn't answer her calls anymore. They wouldn't help her. I didn't know why. We didn't know what was going on. So I told my team, look, y'all just handle it. This cannot be that big of a deal. So then I get a call back from my team that there's a reason that they wouldn't go back over to her house, because they already had one time, was because she had groped both of the installers of the chairlift. Like, I'm talking full on groped.
You see what I'm saying? She's perfect for Ryan. Absolutely perfect.
Full on groped. And so it was crazy. So she literally was like emailing me, texting me. She had this whole like text email, like copied and paste, like, I've already contacted the Dallas Morning News. Channel 4 is about to have me on for a story. And if you guys know about our business, like, it's already, people don't understand it. I work hard to have an A+ rating and 5 stars and good comments and like real hard. And I was freaking scared to death. I'm like, no, like none of this is true, you know? And so anyways, I emailed her back and I said, listen, I have always helped you. I've gone above and beyond for you, but I can't do anything about you groping the installers and them not coming back out to your house. Ask me if I heard anything else from her. No. Because she knew. I said, that's fine if you call Channel 4 and Dallas Morning News, but when this legitimate company with an A+ radio that's been in business for 30+ years says that you were groping them, how's that going to come off? And then she let it go.
So there you go. So she let it go. You sold the deal.
Yeah.
6+ figures.
Life was good. Life was good.
Life is good. Life is also good for Kyle Garner. Kyle Garner is our winner of the Beard Oil. The favorite NHL team is the Red Wings. Did Yale give it away? Did he? Or he said the winner? Okay. So Kyle is the winner. Eric White has a great question. He said, how do you differentiate yourself from the other 20 wholesalers that showed up for this deal?
We put up with her stuff on this deal particularly, because if she was calling us, doing that 100 times and calling literally just to gripe about another wholesaler or another agent or something she wasn't happy with that day, a lot of people aren't going to deal with that, and they're going to think she's not really selling her home. I will go tooth and nail until the end, until they actually sell their home. So on this particular deal, we just put up with their stuff.
There you go. All right, real quick, I want to give away something else. I want to give away one of the Beat Kids Cancer hats. If you can name the college that RJ Bates and Ryan Harper both attended, and where Ryan Harper was a beautiful cheerleader at.
Phoenix Online.
Not Phoenix Online. The first person that can name that wins a Beat Kids Cancer hat. It's a great local university. Okay. So, all right. Also, I want to drop some Q&A in here. I know you guys have some great questions. Can we pull back up the question that Dominique had? I think Dominique has a question that's more specific to something she's going through.
Okay.
It's along the lines, it sounds to me like she has a lead right now that they're willing to sell it to her subject to.
Okay.
But they need some cash in order to do that. So let's just use a round number. What's a significant amount of cash that someone would need in order to do a subject to? Let's say $20,000.
Okay.
So they need $20,000 to walk away and sell the property subject to. What's a good way to get the $20,000 so you can take the property subject to?
A good way to get the $20,000 to get the property subject to is, if you do not have someone that will lend you, private funds, is to call someone that's doing subject to deals and just say, listen, I'll let you in on half of this subject to deal if you'll give me the $20,000 that I don't have. That would be my first call right there. RJ may have something better, but to me, if I don't have any money in my bank account, a money lender's not going to lend on that deal. And if you don't have a friend, family, or someone else that's willing to lend on that deal, then make a phone call to RJ, make a phone call to me. Plenty of people in this business will front out that $20,000 so they can have half of that subject to deal. Yeah. Absolutely.
And a great point on that is by going to the Propelio meetups, the Propelio masterminds, all of these great networking events around, and networking with people and finding out what their main strategy is. So for example, if I got a subject to and I don't know what specifically I can do with it and it doesn't fit my criteria, but they want to sell it subject to, I know just from going to the different meetups, I'm calling Tang Nguyen right off. Boom.
That's who I'm calling is Tang.
Why? Because he gets himself out there, he posts on social media about it, and he's always doing these deals.
Yeah.
So that's the great part about networking, going to great things like the Propelio meetup, and just knowing what other investors are doing in their businesses. Sydney has a question. What is something you look for? Is it always a house that is overrun with fix-ups, or do you go with your gut?
Does she mean some...
What is something you look for? Is it always a house that is overrun?
The only thing I can think of is maybe if you meant like maybe if it's other things, just a house, or if you mean if it's not overrun,
no,
is it still...
Okay, let's re-ask this question. Are you looking for something that is just extremely distressed, or are you trying to find deals in neighborhoods that are a ton of houses are being rehabbed in? So maybe you don't have to do a full gut. You can just go in and just bring it up to the other standards of the properties in the neighborhood.
So, I mean, basically, I'm looking for anything, and you should be too. You should look for land deals. You should look for mobile home deals. You should look for, a multifamily. You should look for single family, whatever you feel comfortable with looking for. But in general, if you have a small budget and your marketing budget is small, then you're going to want to go to something you know well and that you can pinpoint well. So a distressed area, distressed neighborhoods, things like that, that would be definitely the first thing you're going to want to do.
One of the things that you've done that I think differentiates you from almost anybody I know in the industry is that as you've grown as a company, you have continued to add different marketing channels.
Definitely.
And that enables you to find those different deals.
Yes. Yes.
So that's very important as well. Sarah, our good friend Sarah, shout out to her and her networking event coming up in East Texas. She wants to know, how do you wholesale an owner finance deal?
I've never wholesaled an owner finance deal myself because I keep the owner finance deals that I have. But I don't think that would be too hard. I mean, to me, I don't think that would be too hard. Would that kind of cross
Sarah,
into though?
For if you really want to know, tune in to last week's episode of Titanium Tuesdays with Jason McDougall. We went into owner financing strategy, and we actually break down how Jason wholesaled me a deal that I own or finance. That's the easiest way to answer that. Right now, we're going to jump to commercial. We're going to come back. Lots more Q&A with Jamie. We'd love to answer. And like I said, guys, one of the greatest resources in all of real estate investing right here. So drop in your questions. Hey guys, thanks for coming back. So Greg Shine is our winner of the first Beat Kids Cancer hat. Mr. Ryan Harper was a fantastic cheerleader at the
two-time national champion.
Two-time national champion. That is unbelievable. I did not know that. At the great University of North Texas, the Mean Green, having a great year this year in football. Yeah, there you go. I actually think I remember him doing that at my freshman orientation, so that's amazing. We have a couple more hats to give away. I think we're going to do at least one random drawing. And then,
I like random drawing.
Random drawing, yeah. And maybe if I can come up with something creative here in the next couple minutes. But first, Jordan McCoy. Jordan, thank you for joining us today. When dealing with probate, cold calling, how would you approach the executor of the home about buying it without sounding like an ambulance chaser? So he's cold calling probates, and yes, that's a very touchy situation. So how do you go? Is that something y'all do?
We have, yes. It's definitely something I know how you should or how we would deal with that. You definitely don't ever bring that up. So your cold calls should go like this, you know, hey, Mr. Seller, how are you doing today? My name's Jordan. Listen, I know this is so out of the blue, but are you looking to sell your property? So nowhere in there is talking about probate or divorce or code violation or your water shut off. That is 100% just gonna piss someone off every single time. So if you're doing it that way, try the other way. Like, you don't even wanna bring that up. Now, if they say, man, this is crazy you called. I'm actually dealing with some crazy stuff right now. My water shut off, or I'm going through probate. Like, there you go. Now that's your end, but you don't bring that up. This is a whole lot. This is out of the blue. You know, I really like your neighborhood. I've got a flip down the street, something like that. You know, to just get your foot in the door and say it quick, because most people only have 5-7 seconds that they're going to give you the time of day on the phone. So you just got to make it a very relaxed, hey, kind of thing.
Also, Daniel has a great video back in the Propelio archives about this, and some of the advice that he gave was, don't call about just the house, call about all of the services and things that you can help them out through this tough time. And that kind of differentiates you from some of the other wholesalers or real estate investors that might be marketing to them. I think that's very important.
Yeah.
In that, you know, again, almost everything we've talked about today, what is it? It's problem solving, right?
Problem solving.
You're not calling to buy the house. You're calling to solve their problems. So
yes.
that is the most important thing there. Mm-hmm. All right, guys, drop some more questions for Jamie and I. We'd love to answer them. I'm excited because you are now officially a part of the Propelio TV family.
Yes, officially.
I actually stole you and got you on here as a guest before. Now you're going to come in and dominate the airwaves with all the ladies.
So excited.
Yeah, so talk a little bit about what's going to be coming on Thursday and every other Friday here on Propelio TV.
Yeah, so Thursday at 11, we've got Iron Hills Propelio TV. Basically, that is an accumulation of some rock star women who are absolutely crushing it in their industry, which all revolves around real estate. So it's going to be really cool. It's always awesome to get, you know, a woman's perspective on things as well as a man's. And so, you know, it's going to be an absolute wonderful show. You're going to learn so much. And these women are very, very talented, very, very talented. On Friday, it's going to be Heels Off, which will be more of just talking about issues and things that go on in general. Real estate too, but definitely just more of a relaxed environment. And you know, we're really looking forward to this, I think, and that's every other Friday. So that'll be every other Friday. The show's going to be directed
by a man, though, right?
No, definitely not.
So it's organized and well run.
It is organized. I mean, all the women that are in the Iron Hills Propelio group are coming up with the topics. I think we're already like becoming just, you know, little buds. Like, we've got our little messenger, and it's like ridiculous. It's like every 10 minutes somebody's saying something.
That's so funny.
It's so cool.
I have the exact same thing for this show. Like, I text myself back and forth about ideas. It's really awesome.
It gets lonely out there.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when I found out about the show, I felt so bad for myself and Grant and Corey, because like, we don't stand a chance.
Oh, we're gonna slaughter you guys.
I know.
I mean, you know, it's just the truth.
Like, who really actually wants to watch me up
when
here?
we have the same knowledge, but we're, you know, I mean, just nicer to look at. Why not?
The only thing I can do is like take people from your show and make them as guests, and then I can.
Now
that
is smart, because we'll have the best people on. Yeah, that's the best. Yeah, best thing to do.
Yeah.
Good
All
idea.
right, guys. So, do we have any more questions for Miss Wooley here?
Throw them at me. I'm here. What do you got?
Right.
I mean, do y'all love us a little bit? Like us? Do y'all like what Propelio's doing?
We only got a couple more minutes. Director over here is trying to get me off the air. He's always trying to get me off the air. And there's Tang. Hey, Tang just joined us. How many people we have watching right now? Like 57, 58? We don't have any questions, guys?
No questions.
Apparently
yes.
we have another case study. You want to talk about this?
Yeah, so this is kind of the last thing is, again, we're not buying houses. We are solving people's problems or buying real estate. It doesn't matter. It can be a mobile home. It can be land, whatever. We're not buying anything in real estate. We are trying to solve people's problems. And the last thing is that I want to leave you with is do the right thing. There is a lot of things that go on in every single industry, but definitely, our industry is known, as well as many others, for some people not doing the right thing. We got a property under contract in Whitewright, Texas, and it was going to be a great, solid deal. And the next day, the husband called and said, my wife just can't. I think it was 3 days later, actually. So 1 or 3 days later, we had already done everything on our back end, contract signed, everything solid. And he said, my wife just has cried the past 2 nights. She's not ready to let go of the house yet. Well, I had it under contract, and I could have really pressed the issue and been a jerk. And, especially I was, every dollar counts, when you have a team our size. But instead I said, you know what, it is okay. I totally understand. Don't worry about it. If you ever decide to sell it or know anybody that's selling, please just, give me a call. It was 4 months later that he called and said, we're now finally ready. But I got that deal,
Again, you're problem solving, you're building rapport.
Yeah.
We got a great question. Did you know that you can watch Propelio TV on YouTube as well?
I did know that because I have.
There you go. So we have a question from YouTube. David Jesse says, when buying a non-free and clear property on seller financing terms,
okay.
So the seller is financing it to us, and immediately double closing it out on a land contract to the end buyer.
Okay.
We're getting deep here.
Yeah, he is.
We're getting deep.
Yes.
Okay. Who needs to have homeowners insurance? I'm going to go ahead and say, if I'm a part of it, I'm having insurance.
I'm the one that I'm not relying on anyone else on that deal. Yeah,
I'm going to have insurance myself. So if that's something that you're currently doing, I would, my personal advice, I'm not an attorney, but I would just say I would have insurance myself. Matt Smith, love Matt Smith. That guy is supportive of everything Propelio and everything that we do at Titanium. So thank you for joining us today, Matt. He asks, what are some of the best negotiation tips that you have?
Oh, wow. Best negotiation tips.
I think we've given a lot of them.
Yeah,
right?
we have.
Solve problems, don't buy a house.
Yeah, solve problems. That's going to help you negotiate.
Find the pain points.
Find the pain points. That's going to help you negotiate. Find commonality and build rapport. They're going to feel comfortable with you. And some really good things also is we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Listen more than you talk. So many times salespeople in general or someone trying to get a deal, they're talking the whole time. They're nervous. It's their first deal. They don't want any silence. Listen, 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 and let there be awkward, dead silence. Like sit there when you're running your numbers and, oh, man, I don't know if I can give you this deal. Use those types of things. It does feel awkward. It is awkward, but once you start doing it, it's okay. Like use those things to your advantage and start low. If you know that you can pay $70,000 for that house, do not go in there and say I can buy it for 70.
When you got started, and I want to get to another question here, but real quickly, when you got started,
yes, did
you use the fact that you're a woman to your advantage?
I never feel like I did. No, I don't. I really don't. I really don't. I swear. I swear. Like, I don't.
This is going to be the first time, okay? Are we ready? I'm calling bullshit on my guest right now, okay?
Like, okay.
Bullshit.
So I never, like, flirted or did anything like that. Now, I
didn't say you had to do all that.
I think that people in general feel less threatened by a woman coming in their home, but I don't know if I use that advantage. I'm a female. Like, I didn't use it. I don't really have a choice in the matter, so.
Let me ask you this. Say you and I walk into an appointment,
Okay.
back to back,
Yeah.
okay, and we're sitting down with either the man or the woman, who has a better opportunity to immediately become more trustworthy, softer, easier to talk to?
Well, me, because your beard is so like, it's kind of scary at times.
Now, who gets the house? I still get the house.
No,
Jeremy
no.
Jeremy Miller has a good question. He says, could you talk about your lead flow and how you keep it organized and tracked? I think this is a great question, because what are you going to do this year? 150?
Hopefully somewhere in that. We'll see.
150
the year's
deals
not
this
done.
year.
Yeah.
And you got a ton of leads, right? I mean,
A lot.
What do you think? How many leads do you think you'll have this year?
Oh, gosh. I would totally be lying to you on that. I mean, I don't know, 5,000, something like that.
5,000 leads.
Yeah.
And it's so saturated, I can't find leads. That's what everybody says. Again, we're going to call bullshit twice today. So she's finding 5,000 leads. She's going to sell 150 houses this year. How are you keeping it? How do you track them, and how do you keep it organized?
Yeah, so basically it all starts with having a tracking phone number, first of all. So you have your different marketing channels.
Okay, tracking phone number. For people that don't understand, what's that?
So a tracking phone number is whenever you're doing marketing, whether that is a Post-it note that you're putting on the front door, or a card that you're dropping down on the floor, or you're door knocking and leaving a flyer, or you're sending out postcards, pay-per-click, Facebook ads, whatever you're doing needs to have a different phone number attached to it. And the best system that I have found to use is CallRail. It's about $3 a line once you get their monthly service. And you will put door knocking, left door hanger, or Facebook ad, or any of your different marketing sources. So anytime someone calls in on that, you now know every call that you have, it's tracked, how many you're getting. If it was a lead or not, you can actually mark that as well, thumbs up or thumbs down if it was a good lead. And then you can assess what you're going to want to do moving forward with your marketing to understand how many dollars, out versus how many dollars in.
And with CallRail, you can get very detailed in that. So you can say direct mail campaign, October 19th, 2018.
Yes.
Round 1, and then direct mail campaign round 2. So when you hit it a second time, because you need to be mailing that list multiple times,
Definitely.
you can even track down to the point where, okay, the first time we hit them, we got this many calls. The second time we hit them, we got this many calls, so on and so forth. These are very important ways of tracking your business. And now, how long have you been in business? 2.5 years?
Yes, it'll be 3 years in February.
So 2.5 years right now. You have not the beginning. Let's say you have 2 years of data to go back and really track all of the marketing. And now that you've been able to step out of your business, I mean, you can sit down there and run report after report after report to really nail down the next marketing campaigns that you want to do based off the results.
Definitely. Yeah.
So that's one of the ways. How do you keep it organized? I'm assuming that you have a CRM.
We do. So we have a CRM. We currently use a Propelio-based CRM called InvestorFuse. I know there's quite a few out there. That's the one that we've chosen. I did try a few on my own, and it was a mess. So we went back to home base on that. I have not found, there are dashboards, there are tracking metrics that give graphs and all that fun stuff, but it's a lot. There's a lot that goes into that. So I basically keep what I call an at-a-glance spreadsheet that has like my KPIs, which a KPI is your key performance indicator, how well something is performing. And I have an Excel, and I break it up into, my Excel it's just one large sheet, and I've got my pay-per-click here, I've got my SEO, I've got my direct mail, I've got my cold calling, I've got everyone branched out into, a different section of about 4. And then on the left-hand side, I have January through December. I have how many deals total, how many were wholesales, how many were hotels, how many were flips, and then the cost of that month for me for that one marketing channel. And I have it all formulated, so I can go at any moment at the end of the month, I enter all of those in, and I can see what's performing, what's working well, and things like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Sydney's got a question. How long did it take you to really build a portfolio? So I'm assuming, let's talk about rental portfolios.
Okay.
At what point in time did you stop wholesaling and decide, hey, I want to start keeping stuff myself?
So the first year I wholesaled everything because I knew that I didn't just want to do this me and maybe a couple other people. I wanted to build out an entire team. And once I build out that team and I feel like we're well oiled, I can continue to do whatever I want, grow in other markets, take over Texas. I like how that sounds. Anyhow, so I didn't keep anything. The second year I kept 5 total, and I'm really not into keeping any more single family residences because I'm kind of going to go into the assisted living space to get my residual.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, it sounds really cool.
It does sound cool. You sound like a cool person. I think we should do business together.
I think we should too.
Let's do it. So with that being said, Jamie and Titanium, well, let's say W Streets, not just Jamie, and Titanium Investments have actually decided that we're going to join forces.
Yeah.
And we're going to do the assisted living facility world together.
Yeah.
And we couldn't decide on a name
Not a
outside
name
of things. This is not going to be what it's going to be called long term, but right now we're going to call it W Titanium Street.
Yeah.
So eventually we'll come up with a fancier name for assisted living. But
Steel. Is iron, titanium, steel right in the middle?
Now that's hot. Steel Magnolia Assisted Living.
wow, look at that.
I love it. Done.
Yes.
Done.
I mean,
Take 5%.
Nobody
we'll,
steal
we'll
it.
talk about that.
I'm calling the attorney. We're doing the LLC now.
So Jamie, for the people that want to get a hold of you, send you deals, maybe join a mastermind that you're in charge of, how can they get a hold of you?
Yes, definitely. So you can reach me a couple different ways. On Facebook, I'm Jamie Burleson. Wooley, Wooley. So reach out to me, message me, and let me know, you heard me on Propelio. I'll add you as a friend. You can email me at Jamie, Jamie, at thewholesalingchick.com. And those are a couple ways you can get in touch with me. I'm always open to help, answer any questions. We've got some cool stuff. We've got an Iron Hills event. We've got this thing on Thursday with a bunch of ladies. So I'm always interested to helping. We JV with lots of people. We have lots of buyers. So reach out.
It's cool. But if you really want to JV with somebody, you can reach out to myself. No, I'm just So it is funny because Jamie and I are pseudo competitors, but
Yeah.
we are great buds.
We are.
We're on opposite ends of the massive DFW Metroplex. And I don't do this enough, so thank you, Mr. Director, for reminding me to do this. Our company is Titanium Investments. We buy houses all across the country. There are main markets that we're in, but definitely if you have any leads anywhere across the country and you're looking to sell property, reach out to me on Facebook. And then also you can follow my podcast, The Titanium Vault. Also, guys, this would not be possible without Propelio putting this on.
Thank you,
And
Propelio.
we love Propelio. And also, really, guys, the main driving force behind all of this is what I would like to call the hardest working man in all of real estate investing. And that's Ryan Harper. I give him a hard time, but this man literally is working
Beast
all the
mode.
time. And I thought I worked a lot, but I mean, this guy, he leaves the office. Now he literally lets us know when he's leaving the office.
Live and drive.
During the live and drive. So we're going to start a hashtag for Ryan, and I think it's been used in the past, but it's going to be hashtag rah work. I think this goes back to his cheerleading days a little bit, but he is definitely the hardest worker in all real estate investing, and we love him at Titanium Investments. He's given us the opportunity, and he gives everybody at Propelio TV the opportunity to do what we do. Tune in tomorrow at 11 o'clock for Grant Teach Me Something. And then on Thursday is going to be the first episode that's titled Iron Hills at Propelio TV.
Pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. And you can learn more about the Iron Hills Mastermind. Reach out to Jamie. And that's our show today, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. And let's get that hashtag rah work trending here pretty quickly for the hardest worker in all of real estate investing, Ryan Harper. Thank you guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye.